Well, hello, beauties and gents. Now, here is a photo of Gypsy Rose Blanchard's home she shared with Claudine Blanchard. This is kind of a further out perspective of the landscape. You can see to the left of the home, the pink home was their home, and you can see to the left that there really is nothing but a tree line that goes behind the house and then kind of curves around to the left is this tree line. But we can see that Star Wars shed on the left. There's also a greenhouse over there on the left. Now, this perspective shows you the driveway where they had their own shed and it was painted blue. The shed on the right that's in the driveway, that shed is the one we see in crime scene photos where it has like a wooden floor and like those weird striped colors on the roof. Next door, their neighbor shared a similar driveway with them, and the neighbor had a shed as well, and the neighbor's house is very close to Dee Dee's house. Very close indeed. So close, in fact, that if a crime were occurring, and we know it did, June 9th to 10th, 2015, if anyone were yelling, if anyone were making any type of noise, and it's the middle of the night, Gypsy had Nick come in the middle of the night, 3, 4 in the morning, and he believes that he committed this. Nick believes that he's responsible for Dee Dee's death. He did participate, but many of us believe that it's very possible Dee Dee was not alive when he showed up. Very possible. Now, the next door neighbor lives very close. There would have been sound. Taxi drivers coming in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning. How did the neighbors not see the taxi driver? How did the neighbors not hear any commotion of people going in and out and trash bins and all that? Because remember, Gypsy was throwing evidence away in trash bins that are right there by that blue shed on the right of the house. There are 2 trash bins. So her and Nick are doing whatever inside the house, supposedly, 3, 4 in the morning. Then around after 4:30, they're taking those bins and they're putting them down the driveway. They're passing the neighbor's house, going down the driveway and then making an L shape in front of the yellow house down to the main road where the trash is picked up. The neighbors would have heard taxis coming and going, people rolling out their bins, and commotion with Gypsy and Nick or whoever talking to one another. And possibly, yells and screams, as Gypsy says that Dee Dee yelled for Gypsy's name. Surely neighbors would have heard something. Now, were neighbors not home? Is it possible that the neighbors were out of town that night? It's very convenient for Gypsy that the neighbors wouldn't be home. Or did they know what was going on and they said nothing? Or were they taking sleeping medication? Were the neighbors the ones taking sleeping medication and they slept through the whole thing and they didn't blink a wink? Let's focus on the left of this photo. There's a shed, and this is on the hill. You see there? It's very far away from the house. It's actually further, if you think of distance-wise. That shed on the hill is further from Dee's house than the neighbor is. If a crime were committed, it would be more plausible, if you were planning a crime, that you would plan it as far away from neighbors and as secluded an area as possible, away from the view of others. Now, there's a Star Wars shed to the left. We see that on the hill. It's like a gray shed. This was a shed that, again, Dee did deck out for Gyps. It was really decorated. There's another one next to it. Then there's also a greenhouse. Now, here's the kicker. The greenhouse had a dirt floor. Remember Gypsy telling us she was put in a shed overnight and her mom had put her in there? And this was sometime in 2011, I believe. 2012. She refers to her mom putting her in a shed and leaving her in there overnight. And she had to lay there dreaming, and she just happens to have a dream. Apparently she can control her dreams. She's in this shed and she has a dream about her new family, her real family. Girl can control her dreams pretty conveniently, if you ask me. how these dreams are always exactly the perception she's trying to sell. Now, this shed is further away from the home. To me, this would seem like a good meetup place. And remember, when she tells Nick they're going to meet up, and it's in that video that MPG posted, MPG Cornerstone put out a video that Gypsy had sent to Nick while they were dating. And Gypsy is showing him like the hookup spots. That shed was one of the spots, and the greenhouse was one of the spots. Also, the tree line there was one of the spots. Claudine Blanchard was a very social personality. Even when she was sick, fighting cancer, and a plethora of other medical issues like diabetes, she still found a way to host movie nights 3 times a year. Claudine Blanchard enrolled Gypsy in Girl Scouts, and she was a part of Girl Scouts for many years. So Gypsy Rose had more of a social life than she admits, and she even hides this social life from the peering eyes of the public. Well, our eyes have been completely opened. The glasses are off. Gypsy's as well. She's no longer wearing those thick glasses. We see pretty clearly, watching this video clip I'm about to show you, you can see Gypsy did have a social life, and she even took dance classes. Her mother enrolled her in dance classes when she was a child. A whole bunch of cuties in dance class, dancing in unison, so cute. But Gyp is just sitting there, staring at everyone. Now she's laying down while everyone else is trying to get their dance on. Dee is so proud of her that even though her daughter is not dancing, she's sitting down, staring, laying down, she still is recording her daughter just full of pride and saying, "Oh, Gypsy, look over here." Like, she's so excited Gypsy's part of a dance class. She's really proud of Gypsy for even being there. You know, possibly Gypsy had stage fright. Maybe she would get nervous in social settings. Maybe she didn't handle social settings well. You can see all the other children participating. They're happy to be there. They're moving. They're listening. But Gypsy was acting in a different way than all the other children. This goes into play when we see her behavior today and how she talks about society, how she talks about the public and people on YouTube. It's always like from a negative viewpoint. Perhaps she has a hard time in social settings where she doesn't have control over the room. And this is why she likes settings where she's the controller, where she's on the stage and everyone is listening to her and she's not sharing the stage with anyone else. Dee's body language, although she's smiling and she's happy, it's the way her face has lit up from the nose upward. Dee Dee's eyes are reflecting a deep level of pride. Pride and admiration. She's proud of Gypsy. Despite Gypsy attacking her on multiple occasions, despite Gypsy sending nudes to her dad, despite all of the craziness going on at home, with Gypsy rebelling through her later teen years and adulthood, Dee Dee is beaming with pride as she looks at her one and only child. Gypsy is sitting here with a large audience. She's on a stage. The lights are on her. There's enormous levels of clapping. A whole audience with important people who work in transforming medicine, who are very connected in their communities. And they're all clapping in unison for a long amount of time for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. They clap for her when she gets on the stage. They clap for her when she is finished singing. She's sitting there, and it is not just the dress and the outfit Gypsy's wearing, but a few things happened during this performance that I wish I could show you the video of, but it is copyright, so I can't show you the full clip here. But let me tell you what happens. Gypsy's sitting here wearing a stuffed animal on her lap, and it's a lamb. She's wearing a red rose on her right arm because she's right
handed. She has a lamb in her lap, a big rose on her arm. She's singing this specific song, and she's right next to her mother. When the performance ends, Gypsy hands the mic to Dee Dee. Dee Dee takes the mic and, in pride and love for her daughter, says, "I was born to be your mama." When Dee says this, Gypsy gives the acting presence of a lifetime. She deserves an award for this. Gypsy turns her head down, scrunches her face all up like she's overtaken by the gesture of love that was just given to her. She wipes her eyes multiple times as if tears are coming out, but no tears are coming. And the way she shakes her face and sniffles and bites her lip, and it is completely the body language of someone who is crying because they feel an enormous amount of love from another person and that they love that person too. However, not a single drop of water, liquid, comes out of those eyes. And the minute that she looks at the audience and she realizes that her acting of emotion worked on the crowd, she beams with the biggest smile ever. In conclusion, Claudine Blanchard, or Dee Dee, enrolled Gypsy in dance classes. We are unclear whether it is the muscular discomfort that Gypsy felt. This is maybe why she wasn't dancing or participating with the other children. Perhaps it was because they weren't playing her favorite game, which was to be the queen and to have people serve her. And this was where all the children were having to do something and the attention was not on her. If it was her muscles, and this is why she didn't want to get up off the ground, and this is why she didn't want to walk around, well, then it would completely make sense that as she gets older, that she would want her mom to pick her up sometimes, or to have her in a wheelchair and to push her. Maybe she didn't feel like doing anything. Or maybe she just wanted to play the queen, and since they weren't doing that, she didn't want to play. She did not want to be in dance class. But we do see clear evidence that she was in dance class. We have video proof of that. And she was in Girl Scouts, and she was also in classes because they were Catholics, and there were classes given to her for that as well, like an education, a religious education. So there was a very big social life, and Claudine Blanchard had that shed outside for her as well. As an older teen, as a young adult, for her, that even though they were sharing a home, to have her own space, that even if she wasn't going to be social in person, she could go and be social online at night and talk to whoever she wanted. Dee Dee was fighting cancer, diabetes, she had a plethora of health issues, and yet she still found a way to take Gypsy on month-long vacations that she paid for. In fact, Gypsy tells the police officers when she's interviewed, she went on month-long vacations to Disney, where her mom and her would get a hotel for a whole month, and this way they could spend 3 to 4 hours a day going to Disney. They would have an unlimited pass, and they could go there for 30 days in a row. Sounds like a dream. And after making these videos, I could use a vacation myself. I mean, a month at Disney sounds like a fun time. I would like to reiterate that Claudine Blanchard, Dee Dee, was proud of her daughter on the stage singing that song. She was proud of her daughter in dance class even when Gypsy was not actually dancing. She seemed to be proud of her daughter for just being alive and existing. Did this later translate into Gypsy having an ego where she celebrates and worships her own existence? And is this why we later on see Nicholas go to John being told to worship her? Let me know what you think. We'll see you later. Ciao.